spent the last 2 months rereading and analyzing every One Piece chapter and found 6 theories that will absolutely blow your mind. For example, there is this one theory about Blackbeard's laugh that left me completely stunned. You probably noticed that One Piece is full of weird laughs, but did you ever notice that some of the characters' laughs correspond with the devil fruit they ate? Take Whitebeard's, Piranha's, or Streusen's laughs, for example. They all laugh with the first letters of their fruit. Now, with that said, did you ever notice how Teach laughs? Teach's laugh is which may seem unimportant initially, but if this theory is right, it may be a key to one of the biggest One Piece mysteries. There is a mythical creature called 𝐵𝐴𝐸, also known as Haku-Taku in Japan. Now, if you take those names first and last words, you get Teach's laugh. So, it is possible that Teach already ate his 3rd devil fruit? You probably think this is just a stupid coincidence, but bear with me, it gets crazy from here. 𝐵𝐴𝐸 is a mythical creature usually portrayed as a tiger, sheep, or lion with 3 heads or 3 eyes on its side. The interesting thing about this is that Teach's flag also has 3 heads, and the number 3 is very emphasized in Teach's appearance. Also, his personality usually varies throughout the show, as sometimes he acts like a coward, sometimes he is cautious, and sometimes overconfident. This would also align perfectly with the animals 𝐵𝐴𝐸 is representing. Sheep for his cowardice, lion for his overconfidence, and tiger for his calm and cautious personality. What's more, did you ever take a good look at Shanks' scar? How did Teach even give it to him? Many fans speculate that Teach used his claw weapon to do this, but I don't think that's true. If you look at Teach's weapon, you'll notice that it has 4 blades, while Shanks' scar only has 3 lines. Based on this, it's likely that Blackbeard transformed into his 𝐵𝐴𝐸 form and surprised Shanks, which allowed him to scar him with his claws. Also, 𝐵𝐴𝐸 literally translates to White Marsh, which could hint towards Whitebeard and Marshall. I'll give this theory 4 out of 10 chances of happening, but in the later parts of the video, I'll be revealing some theories that have a 9 out of 10 probability of happening. Now that you understand how crazy this video is going to be, let me tell you this insane theory about Emu and the One Piece world that might just turn out to be true. Did it ever seem odd that One Piece world is nothing but islands? Did it ever seem strange that there are a lot of structures built underwater, from sunken cities and underground prisons to underground islands and giant gates? Heck, there is even this big subscribe button at the bottom of the sea that's just waiting to be clicked. Anyway, it's almost like an entirely different world existed and was flooded at some point, right? Well, that is exactly where this next theory comes in. In chapter 908, one of the Gorosei said, "The balance of the world can't be maintained forever. It seems like there is a need for a great cleansing." So what exactly did he mean by this? And could it be connected to the underwater structures we mentioned earlier? Well, firstly, it's important to mention that Oda takes a lot of references from real-world religions, especially Christianity. This can be observed on multiple occasions, like Kuma carrying a Bible, Mihawk wearing a necklace with a cross, devil fruits, angels living in the sky, you get the point. So what if this great cleansing is also inspired by Christianity and refers to the story of Noah's Ark, where God flooded the earth? After researching this theory for quite some time, I found some evidence to prove this. As you already know, Emu and the celestial dragons live on the top of the red line in the city of Marisha. Now, it's really interesting that they chose that specific location, especially because it's the highest point in the One Piece world and would make them completely safe from the flood. It's also an interesting parallel that celestial dragons are referred to as gods, which makes it even more fitting that they flood the One Piece world, the same as the god did in Noah's story. This theory would also explain why there are only islands in this world. You see, if the world was really flooded, that would make only the highest points above the sea visible, while everything else would sink. This phenomenon was perfectly explained during the Long Ring Long Land arc, where the path connecting small islands wasn't visible because it was underwater. But how would the Gorosei even do something like this? Well, I think that's where Emu comes in. I don't know how many of you noticed, but Emu's name in reverse spells the word Umi, and the word Umi means sea in Japanese. It's too early to say, but Emu could have some kind of power to control the sea to some extent or raise sea levels. Anyway, we'll need to wait a bit more till Oda reveals what exactly it is. For now, I'll give this one a score of 5 out of 10. Bounties, the completely made up numbers that government gives to pirates. Wait a second, are they really random? Well, what if I tell you that these bounties are actually carefully crafted and have a meaning behind behind them, and that we can use this information to determine what Luffy's final bounty will be at the end of the show. Okay, so if you take a closer look at some of the last numbers of each bounty, you'll notice that they actually have a meaning in Japanese. Okay, you maybe won't notice that since you are probably not from Japan, so let me explain. Whitebeard's last numbers are 4 and 6, and if we take the first syllable of those numbers, which are shi and ro, you'll get the word shiro, which literally means white in Japanese. If we do the same with Kaido's last number, which is 110, we'll get the word hyakuju, which translates to beast or 100 beasts. For Big Mom, the word is haha, which translates to mother. And you may wonder, how does this help us determine Luffy's final bounty? You see, there is one combination of numbers that would fit perfectly for Luffy, and those numbers are 5656, which would make his final bounty 5,656,000,000 bellies. Why is this number so perfect for Luffy? Firstly, it would put him right above the previous pirate king, Gol D. Roger, which all of us are expecting to eventually happen in the series. Secondly, numbers 5656 literally spell the words Gomu Gomu, which is the name of Luffy's devil fruit. Seriously, you can't find a more fitting bounty than this. It deserves at least a 5 out of 10 score. And if you thought this one was crazy, we'll start covering the top 3 theories on this list, and these ones will quite literally blow you away. Did you ever notice that the song 𝐵𝐃𝐶𝐽, the one that Brook loves to sing, actually has some really interesting connections to Laugh Tale and might tell us exactly where it is? You probably think I am crazy for using a song to locate the final island, but when you think about it, it actually makes a lot of sense. Before we get into how exactly Luffy and the crew will get to the Laugh Tale, let's first explain why the information so major would be hidden in the ordinary pirate song. Well, it's important to remember that Joy Boy lived during the Void Century, and we all know how everything about that period of time was erased from the history. So wouldn't it be genius if Joy Boy had concealed these important instructions into a cheerful song in an attempt to securely pass it on? Yes, it would, and I think that's exactly what he did. All right, but what about this song is so important? Well, let's take a closer look at some of the song's lines and try deciphering them. Firstly, it's emphasized multiple times throughout the song that the crew is delivering 𝐵𝐃𝐶𝐽. So what is it? It must be important. Well, in the show, sake is usually something that connects people's stories and brings them closer together. We can observe this when Sabo, Ace, and Luffy become brothers when they drank sake. So could the sake in the song refer to connecting the entire world's story and delivering the knowledge of all poneglyphs? I think so, and this is further confirmed by Roger when he left the message near the Sky Island's poneglyph, saying that he will guide that text to the ends of the earth. Since the Laugh Tale is the final island at the end of the sea, this fits perfectly. In the next few lines, some kind of storm is described that will try to stop the crew from coming near the island, and they'll have to beat upon the drums and hold on until the morning sun rises. With the recent manga chapters, this is also really fitting as Luffy's heart and gear 5th beats in the rhythm of the drums of liberation. In my opinion, he'll probably need to transform into this form and fend off some kind of threat that will try to stop him, maybe a real storm or possibly a villain like Blackbeard. The song finishes with the line, "Never ending, ever wandering, our funny traveling tale." And what's interesting about this is that the phrase "our funny traveling tale" is spelled exactly the same in Japanese as the Laugh Tale, which just further proves that there is a real connection between the song and the island. I'll easily give this one 6 out of 10, but this next one about Aokiji and Blackbeard is so good that it actually has an 8 out of 10 probability of happening. Although he was a Marine, Ǩ'ūžān was the only one among the admirals who followed his own sense of justice, and therefore, we can all agree that joining Blackbeard pirates is going against everything he stands for. There must be a reason for it, right? Yes, I believe Ǩ'ūžān is actually a spy sent to keep an eye on Blackbeard by the Revolutionary Army, and there are a few things that confirm this. In episode 625, after Aokiji saves Smoker, he tells him that there are certain things he can do now since he is not a part of the Marines anymore, and that the grass is always greener on the other side. This could imply that he joined some other organization. Furthermore, during the Reverie arc, it was revealed that the revolutionaries escaped Baltigo just in time before Blackbeard arrived and destroyed the island. Since Aokiji is a crew member now, he probably knew that Blackbeard was going to attack and could have tipped off Dragon about his plans. If you still don't believe this, there is one more thing that may persuade you. For unknown reasons, Blackbeard's 10 captains are called Titanic Commanders. This seems pretty irrelevant until you realize that the thing that sank the actual real-world Titanic was an iceberg, and since Aokiji is literally an Iceman, this perfectly symbolizes that he may betray them in the future. 8 out of 10 is a fair score for this theory. But let's dial the crazy up to the max and cover the wildest theory on the list with a score of 9 out of 10 that states that Rayleigh is Mihawk's father. Okay, that's a pretty weird statement, but there is actually a lot of evidence why this may be true. Firstly, let's start with the similarities between the two. Both of them use a sword in battle. Mihawk is the strongest swordsman now, while Rayleigh was most likely the strongest swordsman in his time. Oda has also hinted at the connection between the two in how they dress. If you look closely, you'll notice that Mihawk and younger Rayleigh have a really similar pattern on their clothing. Now, we can easily pass all of these as coincidences, but let me tell you one more thing first. I also believe Shakuyaku is Mihawk's mother. Think about it. If Rayleigh ever had a child, it would most likely be with her, but that's not the only reason. If you put Shaki and Mihawk next to each other, they have some visible similarities, the most obvious one being their spiky hair. And lastly, Mihawk was seen wearing a shirt with peonies during Roger's execution. Why does this matter? Well, if you translate Shaki's full name from Japanese to English, you'll get, wait for it, peonies. I think this one just has to be true, and it would be really cool to see Rayleigh and Mihawk fighting together at some point. If you like these theories and want to hear more, you can click on this video where I explained 12 more insane One Piece theories you definitely didn't know.